Is it actually a good idea to use British TV shows to try and improve your English? Well, let's talk about it. Hey up mate, and cheers for finding this video today. I appreciate that. If you're new around here, my name is Dan and I'm a British English teacher who is here to help you build your confidence so you can use English to do more cool stuff in your daily life. Now today's topic is all about the concept of using British TV shows to practice English and whether it's actually a good idea or not. So this is something that I covered in a recent episode of the Brit Speak Pod, so let's take a look. When it comes to British TV shows, is it actually a good idea to try and use them as part of your English studies? Like, is it worth your time to spend time watching TV like you're trying to improve your English, right? So today I want to kind of break this down and talk about whether I think it's a good idea or not. Spoiler alert, I do think it's a good idea. But we'll talk about why, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to make the most of it as well. So let's have a look at some benefits then, shall we? So when it comes to benefits of watching British TV shows as part of your English studies, the first thing is you're going to get real-world, casual British English. You know, you're going to learn a lot of things like idioms and slang and phrasal verbs that we use all the time in daily life conversations that you're not really going to find in your textbooks, to be honest with you. It's also going to help you differentiate between like informal situations and formal situations based on the language that's being used, right? So that's really important as well. You're also going to improve your listening skills. Of course you are. You're watching TV, you're listening to words, you're going to improve your English listening skills, and you're going to get better at things like different accents. Because I hate to break it to you guys, not everybody in the UK speaks with an RP accent, the BBC English accent. We do, but you're also going to hear other things like regional accents, whether it's Cockney or Geordie, Scouse, whatever it is. You're going to get better at hearing those things, right? You're also going to get a bunch of cultural insights. Now, this is like, basically, it's more related to the culture the TV show comes from. You know, British humour, the different customs we have, the different traditions, and what is like normal in British society. You're going to get some insight into that stuff as well. You'll get contextual learning, which is really important. So not only are you going to pick up these new phrases, these expressions, these idioms and stuff, but you're going to pick them up in context. You're going to understand the situation it's come from because you're seeing it happen in real time, right? So it makes it much easier for you to understand and remember those things and then actually use them in similar situations in your own life, right? So, and you'll also be able to see like how people's communication changes between friends and people they don't know very well, because you'll see lots of different styles of communication, right? And the last thing, let's be honest, is pretty enjoyable. Now, if you're going to offer me a textbook and you're going to offer me an episode of my favorite TV show, guess which one I'm choosing, mate? It's not the textbook. I'm definitely going to watch TV rather than read a textbook, you know. And it's good because doing something you enjoy helps you stay motivated, you know, and it helps you actually want to do it. Like, motivation is hard in English, but if it's like, kind of like giving a kid, you know, they go to the dentist and after the dentist, they get a lollipop because they've been good. It feels a bit like that for me. So yeah, you're going to be able to enjoy your practice and that'll make you actually want to do it, which means you're going to be more consistent, which means you're going to make more progress, and it's good. Now, a lot of people say to me like, oh, but I don't like Friends. So don't watch Friends then, mate. There's a million TV shows. Choose something you enjoy. I think the best piece of advice I could give you is find a TV show that you would watch in your own language that happens to be in English, you know. So yeah, I think it's pretty important to kind of find something you enjoy. Don't just watch it because it exists. Watch it because you want to. And then you're going to probably enjoy it a lot more, aren't you, to be honest? So yeah, those are some benefits when it comes to TV shows as part of your learning strategy. Now, I've got some tips to make this a bit better for you. So the question that often comes up at this point is subtitles. Should you use subtitles or not? It's tricky. It's a tricky one. So I always say use subtitles wisely. Like, First of all, do not put subtitles in your own language. That's a waste of time because you won't bother listening, you'll just read it. So use subtitles wisely, maybe watch it with English subtitles the first time. Just make sure that you're not missing anything. Make sure that you're picking up unfamiliar words and phrases. Like the subtitles like a backup. If you don't catch it with the audio, maybe you'll catch it in the subtitle. So that's kind of good. And then transition to not using subtitles. Maybe watch the same thing again the second time without subtitles and see how much you actually caught, because naturally with our brains, for most people, if you're presented with audio or text, you're going to read the text rather than listen to the audio. It's just natural. So yeah, gradually try to go without subtitles, but at first it's not going to kill you. All right. I also recommend taking notes. If you're watching TV for fun, don't bother with this. But if you're watching TV to improve your English, have a little notebook or something and make a note of words or phrases or expressions or things that you're not sure about as you're watching, So write down new vocabulary, idioms, phrases, whatever it is, and then you can look them up, And once you've done that, look up your meanings, your examples of how to use them in different contexts, contexts, not contexters. So take notes, look at the words, but you don't have to interrupt you watching the TV show. Make the notes, then afterwards go and look up what they mean. Because you might find that by watching it, it becomes obvious what it means later on. Maybe the context will tell you what it means, and you can just double check later on. So, use subtitles wisely and take notes. The next thing I'd recommend is focus on cultural context, because this is really important. So pay attention to cultural references or jokes, because this will help you understand British humour. British humour is hard to understand, but it's a big part of our culture. So, trying to work out when things are sarcastic or when things are very tongue-in-cheek and things like that. The more you watch, the more obvious it'll become. Especially if you watch comedy shows, you'll get an idea of what's going on. And if there's any terms or traditions or things that you see in British TV shows that you're like, I don't really get what's going on, Google's your friend, mate. Go and have a look on Google. Perhaps Google why in EastEnders they're always in pub, or, whatever it is that you're not sure about, go and have a look. I think it'll be good. Watch with a purpose. If you're watching TV just to watch TV, that's cool, but that's not really English study, is it? So if you are trying to improve your English, you've got to have a bit of a purpose. So when I say this, what I mean is instead of trying to watch a full hour-long show, maybe look up clips that are 2 to 3 minutes long. For example, I've got a student from Hong Kong. Let's call her Kay, right? And she loves a British TV show called Coronation Street. So in the lessons that I work with her, we often go to YouTube and look up a clip of this soap opera. Maybe, 3, 5, 10 minutes maximum. And we'll go through it and she'll listen to it and ask questions. And so, yeah, don't watch an hour-long show because it'll get a bit overwhelming. Shorter clips are probably a good idea. And there's nothing to stop you watching it multiple times to make sure that you've got it. You don't have to just watch it once and be like, oh, okay, I didn't really understand. Try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. That's what people used to say. Now, it's also okay if you want to pause and rewind things because there's a difficult phrase or the accent is hard to understand. I do this sometimes. I didn't really catch what they said and I rewind it a little bit. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Be sure that that's okay. Now, the last kind of tip I've got for you is, I mentioned earlier, choose the right shows. If you're a beginner towards intermediate, start off with shows that are really clear and are very simple ideas and use more simple language. Examples of this are things like, what's it called? The Great British Bake Off. It's a show where it's like a cooking show where they bake cakes or something. I've seen it on TV, but I don't really know much about it, to be honest. And then Doctor Who is another one. Doctor Who's been around for God knows how many years, but it's quite simple. It's just like a sci-fi thing, but the language in it is relatively simple. It's quite accessible. So if you're beginner to intermediate, choose more simple shows, yeah? If you're a bit more advanced, you may want to challenge yourself to something with a bit more regional accent or fast-paced dialogue. So examples like Peaky Blinders, Birmingham, and Fleabag is another one that's got a regional accent in it, so that's worth looking at as well. And then finally, if you're trying to pick up regional accents, there's usually a show that's famous for each area. Like Top Boy is like people call it British Breaking Bad, you know what I mean? But it's in London, it's like gangs and stuff in London, but they speak Multicultural London English, or MLE, right? So if you want to learn that accent, that show's great. Derry Girls from Northern Ireland, really, really popular show. And Coronation Street, I mentioned earlier, from Manchester, it's got like a northern accent, yeah? And now it's over to you. What do you think is the best way to improve your English using TV shows? Let me know in the comments. One of my favorite ways is to use British TV shows to practice shadowing. Now, if you're not sure what that is, you need to get your hands on my 7-day speaking practice plan. It'll tell you 7 different techniques that you can use to practice speaking, even if you're on your own, and it comes with a checklist to keep track of your progress, and it's totally free. It's available down there right now. But that's it for this one, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you there.